Hello, my lovely nerds. My name is Cryptic Kitten. I hope that you guys are having a great day today. I am here to talk to you guys about the magical, the mythical, and the macabre in folklore, mythology, and the media. So I do mainly want to focus on folklore, mythology, and cryptozoology, but we do talk about the macabre, so I wanted to sprinkle in some hauntings as well. And this first haunting is actually very close to home because it is of the Old Town Pizza in downtown Portland. So we need to talk about the Shanghai tunnels. So back in the day, hundreds of years ago, cities in the Pacific Northwest, such as Seattle and Portland, as well as others, built underground cities for various reasons. For Portland, they wanted to find a more efficient way to transfer goods from the harbor to the middle of the city. They built an underground system of tunnels called the Shanghai tunnels. Inevitably, these tunnels became the hiding spaces for darker activities. When the night fell during Prohibition, illegal booze was said to be stored in the Shanghai tunnels. Prostitution, as well as opium dens and hardcore gambling, were also integrated into the system. These tunnels are mainly found under the neighborhood called Old Town Chinatown and connected basements of hotels and taverns to the waterfront of the Willamette River. But the darkest usage of the tunnels, however, was a process called Shanghaiing, which was basically the process of human trafficking. During the years of 1850 to 1941, almost 100 years, cheap labor became very appealing to ship captains. So captains hired crimps, which were basically people that would go to certain taverns and bars, would detect a man that seemed like they were new to the town, gain a certain level of trust by acting very friendly, buy them a drink, drug it, and then with the help of the bartender, which I couldn't imagine living in that time. I'm a bartender and I couldn't imagine that being part of my job description. Obviously, some of the bartenders were just people that there was money involved. But they would drag this unfortunate soul and they would drop them down into the Shanghai tunnel that was through an opening that was opened by a button. And these people would be paid $50 for their service. The victims were put into small wooden cages and were left there without any food or drink. And after several days, they would be given a drink chock full of drugs to make them easier to transport onto ships and sold to various captains. If a victim woke up, they would be horrified by the new reality to being chained in the bow of a ship far into the sea. But not only were they Shanghaiing men for labor, they were also Shanghaiing young women for sex trafficking and also drugging them and dropping them into the trapdoor. These women were kept alone in a closet-like box, and within 8 to 48 hours, they would be mentally and emotionally broken, told that they would never see their families again, and then sold to be repeatedly for the rest of their unfortunately short lives, as they would often be overcome by disease, violence, and even murdered by either their owners or their customers. During this time, the demand for prostitutes was high in private bars and also hotels such as the upscale merchant hotel that either had a direct connection to the tunnels in their basement or even were located right near the entrance of a tunnel. Some establishments even being owned by the perpetrators of these crimes. So during Prohibition in the 20s and 30s, the enforcement of prohibiting alcohol caused the speakeasy crowd to just move down into the tunnels and where they would illegally drink and party, which inevitably and unbeknownst to the crowd, they made themselves easy targets for the crimps. Also, the strengthening, although slight, of the police force in Portland made it to where this scene just became more and more, quite literally, under the radar. The brothels were still going on and women left and right were being kidnapped and sold and transported to either nearby port cities and towns and even shipped overseas. However, by 1941, it is stated that the trafficking of men and women was deemed unprofitable and is said to stop entirely, at least in the Shanghai tunnels. Human trafficking is unfortunately still very much a thing. Just a few months ago, I actually had learned from someone that they, at a mall in Portland, noticed a car with a zip tie on the handle, and it is said that the zip ties are indicators to people that this is an easy target for sex trafficking. So all of you out there, please be careful. But anyway, so in 1941, the tunnels were padlocked to keep people out and was officially off limits for several years, until the Cascade Historical Society discovered them, renovated them, and now give tours, and other establishments give tours as well. And I'm sure that you can imagine, if you believe, that with all this crime, broken spirits, murder, sorrow, and pain, that there is sad, eerie energy, not only throughout the Shanghai tunnels, but also businesses that are located in these areas. Some souls, understandably, are speculated to not be able to let go and still haunt their places of captivity to this day. It can probably be undisputed that many deaths have happened in the Shanghai tunnels due to starvation, dehydration, disease, overdoses, violence, and murder. And Ghost Adventures actually did an episode of the Shanghai tunnels. It, I believe, on at least on Discovery Plus, is the first episode of season 7.
We're in Portland, Oregon. We're here for what's beneath my feet, the very notorious Shanghai tunnels.
So you should check that out. Ghost Adventures is one of my favorite shows. Very interesting. So to get onto the specific topic of today, one of the most well-known souls that are said to be seen still to this day is of the soul of Nina. So the Merchant Hotel mentioned earlier in the video was located at 121 Northwest 2nd Avenue in Old Town Chinatown. It was built by brothers Louis Adolph and Theodore Nikolai. It took 4 years to be built, being completed in 1880. It had one of the first hydraulic elevators in the city, and by 1889 was said to have taken up half of the city block. The hotel was later purchased by a musician named Eugene Steppinger in the 1890s, and during this time was becoming a place of dark hedonism, consisting of drugs, prostitution, gambling, and being notoriously considered a cracker factory, which I had to look that up because I was so confused about what that was. But it's basically a refuge for criminals, thugs, gangsters, and the like. Pretty much all the bad people. And in the early 1900s, Nina, a teenage prostitute, was frequently found working at the Merchant Hotel. Nina was eventually propositioned by missionaries who promised that they would rescue her if she was able to give them the name of the people who were operating the brothels. And as you can imagine, whistleblowing was very risky, basically life-threatening. Nina, obviously hating the life she was living, saw hope in the missionaries and complied, but unfortunately was found killed, thrown down an elevator shaft located in the Merchant Hotel. The murder was never caught, so we don't really know exactly who killed Nina, but safe to say that she was killed when someone caught wind of her plan and her owners killed her, but we will never know. So, over 100 years later, the Merchant Hotel's lobby was transformed into what is now the Old Town Pizza, where Nina is said to still be seen to this day. I haven't been here yet, which I want to go to, but Nina's picture is said to be seen hanging on the wall. There is a brick located in one of the walls of the old elevator shaft, now part of a booth with Nina's name etched inside of it. It is surmised that Nina was graceful, beautiful, and charming, and is now seen as a brave heroine who risked her life to expose her captors. Today, she makes her appearance known wearing either a black or white dress. She likes to stand on the balcony and is said to almost enjoy it, making herself known to customers, where you can also find yourself catching a whiff of a sweet perfume. She's most active in the early mornings or during closing time, where you can see her floating around the restaurant, moving items on tables as well as in the kitchen to let employees know that she's there. If it's quiet enough, you might be able to hear her footsteps tapping all across the floor. It is said that once an employee closing the kitchen heard these soft taps coming towards him, he looked up and noticed a female figure wearing a black dress walking towards him. And when she noticed him, she stopped, looked at him, and then went and descended down into the blocked tunnel. You can also go on tours to visit Nina in the Old Town Pizza. I have yet to do this, but it does seem like an interesting thing to do. I have been on one Shanghai tunnel tour in a bar that was really interesting, and this is where I first heard of Nina. This was around Halloween time. It's really sad to learn the history of the Shanghai tunnels, especially me just moving to Portland, not knowing any of this, and finding out in the couple years that I've lived here that literally underneath the city was a system of tunnels where humans were trafficked many, many years ago. Very eerie. There are other ghosts that are said to be haunting around Shanghai tunnels and different bars and restaurants in the area. Let me know if there are any other hauntings or ghost stories that you would like me to talk about. And I appreciate you guys so much joining me on this story. If you found it interesting, please like and comment down below if you heard about Nina or if you've heard of the Shanghai tunnels. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!